Great to see you today, and I'm Dr. Jewel Williams, owner of Tribe Production Publishing Incorporated. And here I am today with our writing tip. We're still in the series Expanding My Brand. And so my today's tip is speaking engagements. So all of these tips are really just trying to help you realize, don't just look at my book as one thing and done. Your book it's one item, but what other branches can you bring from that? And so one of my first tips for this is preaching or speaking events. Where can you go? If you're a pastor or preacher, make sure that when you go even to speak, it's not, I know sometimes we don't want to promote ourselves because you're going, especially if you're preaching, you feel like you don't want to promote yourself. But you're not really promoting yourself. I feel like you're promoting the gift that God gave to you. So ask when you go to speak at events, can you bring your books? I have an event, when I go to events, I always ask, can I bring my books? And most times I've never had anybody tell me no. They're actually excited because it just adds something to what's going on in the event. If you're not a preacher, but you still are look for events where you might be able to speak. Some events, which leads to my next tip, you might have to pay. So what paid events where you might be a part of the event where you can go? Because some places they will have events and you might can speak, but you have to pay a fee. But I think it's worth it. Just be willing and open to figure out different ways that you can present your information before an audience. And so whatever the speaking events, and depending on your what you're writing about, you want to make sure that you're not speaking, for example, to an audience that really don't care about what you're writing about. If you're writing about leadership per se, you may not want to necessarily be at an event for, at-home teaching maybe. Maybe that might not be the niche. So you want to be careful when you are looking for events or checking out what's going on, that you're making sure that it also is aligning with what you're doing. And then be creative in your speaking engagements. Depending on, again, your book. If there's some school events, even be willing to reach out to some schools and say, hey, I wrote a book. Like, for example, one of my books I wrote, it is for youth. Now, I may not reach to a public school because it's a Christian-based book, but why not reach out to some Christian schools and be willing to sit down with or ask for a meeting? So it's just you just kind of want to be creative in whatever it is that you're thinking. So again, speaking engagements. If you're already a person that does a lot of speaking engagements, shame on you if you are not taking your books, if you're not presenting your information, because you have a prime audience. I've always watched, for example, when I go to events, people don't know me. So when I put my books on the table, especially if they're meeting me for the first time, if I'm going somewhere new where people don't know me, they'll look at my books, they may be interested, and I can see kind of the question on their face is this something good? They're interested, but it's almost that I'll wait and see. And so what will happen is I speak or I preach, then generally what happens, I tend to sell out all the books I bring. Why? Because the people feel like they've just met me, because they heard me speak, they saw how passionate I was about whatever I was speaking. So guess what? Now they feel like they know me and they can trust me. So please, if you have any previous speaking, or if you're a person that already have speaking engagements, make sure you are presenting your book at all times. So again, my tip for today is speaking engagement. Preaching events, even if you have to pay to be a part of the event, do that as well. And then be creative in your speaking engagements. Where can you go? What events can you go to? I know of people that have gone to different places that maybe service women or something like that, and maybe you may not necessarily make a lot of money, but even in that, if you come in and hand out some freebies, some free books in your speaking, you never know what kind of contacts you may be able to get from that. So again, just be creative. Again, if you need a coach or if you're ready to publish your book, Tribe Production Publishing Incorporated is ready to help you win in publishing. For more details, go to my website, publishdivision.com, or email me for details at DrJewelWilliams@publishdivision.com. And again, as always, until we meet again, write it.